Hi. Today I want to talk about something which often occurs as a result of people contacting me on a subject which is constantly in people's minds and which I have to comment on and often rebut. I'm talking about the general idea, which is primarily coming from people in America, possibly the UK. The idea that you can somehow do some paperwork, um, file some papers, and become or claim some level of what's called sovereignty. This is usually based on some interpretation of arcane law or some constitutional basis, but essentially it boils down to the idea that you are not actually legally responsible for paying tax, and that all you have to do is to know how to file a correct statement or a correct form or go through a particular procedure, which is usually quite complex, in order to remove yourself from such an obligation. Now, I've come across this many, many times over the years, and I have to say I would caution you seriously against following such a line. And the reason I say that is because when it comes to matters of taxation, governments need and want your money. And you have to remember that governments are largely above the law. We may not like to think that, but they are. They act outside the law. The law is for people like you and me. Governments can change the laws according to their own requirements. And in the current economic climate, where just about every government is in dire need of more money, the likelihood that they would allow any movement or any number of people to start shifting themselves out of the tax base using arguments based on laws which the government supposedly wrote or administered would only invite a level of hostility, changing of such laws or closing of loopholes. But at the end of the day, it all boils down to an important truth. Government is nothing more than the application of force. This application of force ultimately comes down to that they have the guns. If you attempt to stand up claiming some legal basis for why you shouldn't be um, paying tax, presumably such a basis applies to everybody if they want to apply it. And I need to ask you seriously, do you think that any government anywhere in this world would watch while all its citizens filed documents which then took them out of the tax net? Not likely. It's much more important to have a realistic outlook on this, that governments are in it for the money. The rules of the game are rigged. They have the guns. If you intend to play some sort of risky business where you're going to challenge this government authority, then you could very well end up in jail. And certainly could end up losing whatever else you have and wasting a lot of time. If you're serious about wanting to reduce your tax, then you need to start considering moving somewhere where either you don't have to pay any tax or you pay a lot less tax, but you're going to have to consider moving away from the country which you find so burdensome. And my suggestion to you would be, if this is so important to you, then this is absolutely the only way that you can legally reduce the burden of tax on your life. And not just the burden of tax, but maybe the burden of government regulation, government oversight, and so forth. The world is a big place. You need to start looking, if you're serious, at places and strategies which you can legally employ, which would reduce your tax obligations without breaking laws, without relying on strange documents and strange arcane laws that maybe you think might have some effectiveness. My advice is stay clear. Follow, follow the path of other people who quite rightly can pack their bags, move to better climates, better jurisdictions, and definitely can reduce tax obligations all the way down to zero if necessary. And I answer that every time I get asked the question, but I thought I'd put a quick message on video, hopefully that I can refer people to in the future when I get asked that question, which is probably once a week. Anyway, that's my comment for today. I hope it's been helpful. Thank you.